Welcome, friends and weak-kneed oligarchs, to another episode of the NewsHazard podcast show. I'm your host, David, joined by my buddies Felicity and Dan.
Hello.
Hey. Time for our weekly news roundup.
All right, so Trump announced a lot of more tariffs, Trump and tariffs, basically iconic at this point.
Like peas and carrots, Trump and tariffs.
The European Union, I think we mentioned this last week, is going to be 15%. So, our biggest trading partner bloc will be, 1/6 more expensive.
I thought it was China. I'm just kidding. We did that last week.
Here we go again. And so he hit Canada with 35%, which many are seeing as a reaction to Canada saying they're going to recognize Palestinian statehood.
A couple countries scheduled for September that they're going to recognize Palestinian statehood, which, you can do that sooner. Why'd you pencil that in on the Google Calendar? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess because it's like a political move, so they want lots of time to talk about it. Maybe get more people to sign on.
Sounds like they don't want to do it.
Principle, Phil.
They're waiting for someone else to step in and do some favor to them to change their mind. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe they just have so many nation recognizings on the calendar before now and then that they can only make it to September. Transnistria, Taiwan, you got all sorts.
I would be so impressed if Trump could find Transnistria on a map, dude.
I'd be surprised if I could find Transnistria on a map, and I know it exists and vaguely where it is. I just forget the specifics. It's on the border of Moldova, is that right?
I want to say Eastern Europe somewhere, so I guess I agree with you.
All right,
certainly we can't find out now during our rapid-fire news roundup. So let's move on.
Pow, pow, pow. All right. The federal government got caught flat out lying about several cases in Los Angeles where they arrested protesters. Out of 9 assault and impeding felony cases, the Justice Department filed immediately after the start of the protests that were promoted by the Attorney General Pam Bondi. Prosecutors dismissed 7 of them soon after filing the charges. In reports that led to detention and prosecution of at least 5 demonstrators, DHS agents made false statements about the sequence of events and misrepresented incidents captured on video. One DHS agent accused a protester of shoving an officer. Later, footage appeared to show the opposite, where the officer forcefully pushed the protester.
Right, well, so every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, the protester's body shoved the officer's hands.
Damn, dude,
so
it sounds like you're ready for a career in the Trump Justice Department, dude.
Should have been a lawyer.
Both parties filed suit against the Earth for pushing them to the ground.
Yeah, so, just good old classic, the feds lying about arresting people for, totally good reasons.
So should we expect any consequences?
But yeah, I'm sure. There were consequences because they didn't lie well enough, probably, right?
Right, probably getting fired. Maybe they can sue. I mean, this is America, goddammit.
They probably can sue, and then taxpayers will, pay out some money. And the officers will not be punished. That's the way it usually goes, at least.
I'm happy to help, I'll chuck in for more government competence.
All right, but how would you guys feel about some slightly lighter news here?
But yeah.
Yes, please.
I don't know if you've heard about this. In Oklahoma, there's been a bit of a scandal. So there was a Board of Education meeting, for the State Board of Education with parents there. Let's see, how shall I put this for YouTube's delicate sensibilities? While this was going on, videos of a salacious nature, shall we say, appeared on the television. And so this is...
Just like it got hacked or something?
Well, everybody seems to think that it's the superintendent of public instruction. Basically, seeing the way he's denying it, I also believe that it's him now. So first he put out a press release. The title of the press release is Response to the Most Absurd, False, and Gutter Political Attack from a Desperate, Failing Establishment, in which he said that any suggestion that a device of mine was used to stream inappropriate content on the television set is categorically false. Since then, he also recorded a video statement that he put on Twitter in which he said that it's the nastiest political attack and based on lies by board members, and said that the board members in question should resign immediately in disgrace over the lies they've pushed about me.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you're attacking the other side so hard for a reasonable suspicion, that just kind of is telling. It's like when Elon was like, oh, there goes the Democrats with their dirty tricks, when he was, hiling Hitler.
This article is just full of delightful little details to me. Okay, so they sent cops out to look at the TV to see if they could figure out whose fault it was. So
They've
they're
got
like
top men
in
on
the
the
article,
case.
they had this whole section titled Forensics. Such a grand name for what they did, which according to a July 30th report, the device in question is a 55-inch Samsung that was connected to an office Wi-Fi network and had AirPlay and separate remote access capabilities, including screen sharing support. Unfortunately, given the limited logging capabilities on the TV, nothing could be determined about what might have been displayed during the board meeting.
Okay.
In an interview yesterday with local TV station News 9, the board members who filed the complaint expanded on what happened during the controversial meeting. So there was one account, according to Becky Carson, who was the board member, quote, "I was like, is that woman naked? And then I was like, no, she's got a bodysuit on. And it happened very quickly. I was like, that's not a bodysuit. And I hate to even use these terms, but I said, those are her nipples. And then I was looking closer, and I got a full body view." In a new Vimmer, and then board member
Just
Ryan...
like, enhance. More zoom. Those are nipples. My God.
And I just find it so adorable that she's describing how porn came on the TV, and she's like, she can't even bring herself to say the word nipple.
I don't know why she's like going into this detail with a reporter.
Because she's got to emphasize the inappropriate nature of the content. All right, so there's more. Board member Ryan Detheridge said, "It was an older video. It was more grainy. Maybe Three's Company time frame. Maybe MASH. The clothing reminded me of a red and white striped shirt. A guy with a white hat. Kind of Gilligan type hat."
Pornography historian.
He previously described the video as featuring nude women near some kind of chiropractic table. So I'm sure there's like someone, if everybody on the internet watched that video, somebody would instantly be like, oh, I know that video.
Right.
If you're that person right now, leave a comment and you could be part of a national news story once they contact you.
Post it in the comments.
Yeah. And then, so Carson filed the initial complaint. She talked about what happened, and she said she basically treated the superintendent like a 15-year-old son. I said, "What am I watching? What's on your TV? Get it off now." He looked at me and then turned around and said, "Oh my gosh," and stood up, picked up the remote. He goes, "I can't get it off." And I said, "Get it off immediately. Get it off now." The interviewer goes on to say, "Did Walters appear shocked by the images?" Carson, "I don't think it was a shock what he was seeing. I think it was his reaction to being caught. I compare it to a teenage kid that's been caught doing something wrong." At which point the third board member, Mike Tinney, chimes in. He turned around, looked at it, got out of his chair very rapidly. He came back down and sat down in his chair, didn't say anything, and we just kind of looked at each other like, what just happened? And then we just went back to work. As for the suggestion that they were asked to lie by the governor, Carson said this was almost ludicrous.
Almost ludicrous. So he's saying it's a reasonable accusation?
Yeah, it's almost ludicrous. It's not quite. It's good that we have the fine details here.
Imagine you get caught in a compromising position and your fuck up hits the local news and then the national news.
Well, because he's very like, I want to bring Bible into school and stuff. So, it adds the extra layer of irony.
Look, like when you come up with that kind of presentation, you got to prepare for like an audience reaction. And you got a couple different angles. Maybe the audience is feeling some vintage pornography, and then you got to roll with that.
It seems like they were not feeling it, and they were in fact very upset, as you might expect at an Oklahoma Board of Education meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you win some, you lose one. He read wrong, threw it up there, didn't get the reaction that he wanted, and had to cover for it.
We've been there. Try to know our audience, but
Yeah. Who hasn't accidentally played Oklahoma Board of Education meeting? Not him, of course, right?
No,
It's vile gutter political attack
from the establishment. You see, the establishment got him. Oh man.
Nice details, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so here's another one I found kind of fun, which was, so the article is titled, "Radioactive Wasp Nest Found at Site Where the U.S. Once Made Nuclear Bombs." So
awesome. If you want to be a superhero, just go get stung.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was thinking when I read this. So they found a wasp nest on a post near tanks where liquid nuclear waste was stored. The nest had a radiation level 10 times what is allowed by federal regulations. Apparently there are federal regulations on how radioactive your wasp nest can be. Good to know. And it goes on to say, the workers sprayed the nest with insect killer, removed it, and disposed of it as radioactive waste. No wasps were found. So the radioactive wasps are at large
On the
in
loose.
South Carolina, dude. Watch out. If we have any viewers there, be careful.
Or
you
don't.
might become
You
or
might get
don't. You might
superpowers.
become Yeah, exactly, dude. See, that's what I'm saying. So Marvel movies were a psy-op, dude, to implant the idea of superheroes in the collective consciousness, and now we're all manifesting it because reality is just a shared delusion, dude. This is why, like, magic used to work. Now it doesn't, dude, because people stopped believing in it. But now we all believe in superheroes because of Marvel movies, dude. They're going to start popping up. Just wait, dude. We're going to see Wasp Man any minute. Or Wasp Woman, you know? In the Marvel movies, after all, well, the Wasp is a girl, you know?
Maybe it'll be an illegal immigrant who will be seeking revenge.
Maybe, dude. Imagine, dude. The Wasp Man comes to kill Trump, just bites his head off on national TV.
Damn.
That's what wasps
I'm
do to
not-
their victims, dude. I'm not advocating a course of action, of course.
Technically speaking, a wasp man or wasp person could bite the head off the president and plant eggs in his stomach that would later, burst out and feast on his corpse. That's just nature. That's not a threat.
Don't worry, though. The government reassures us that wasps generally fly just a few hundred yards from their nest, so there's no danger they're outside the facility. Unless, of course, they were deranged by radiation, in which case they could be anywhere, dude. I mean,
Is that
that's
part
just
of
a
the
regular
quote or just a little bit of color you added?
It was a little bit of color. ABC News
Okay.
did not say that. They did say the part about wasps generally flying just a few hundred yards, but
Okay.
I mean, that's just regular wasps. Like, radioactive wasps probably have not been studied as extensively.
And that's why we need to give the National Science Foundation more money. More irradiated, stinging insects.
Exactly, dude. We don't know how far they fly from the nest, which is important when they make radioactive nests.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah. Back to more serious news. It turns out the U.S. is not adding jobs nearly as fast as they said, and it got revised like way, way downward, the jobs numbers. So it turns out we're...
No, see, I heard about this, and that got corrected. Yeah.
So they had said like 320,000 jobs were created over a few months, but it turns out it's only 73,000. But don't worry, this job creation crisis, Trump is on the job, dude. He immediately struck back, strong response, fired the person in charge of collecting the numbers. So I imagine that soon we'll have much more favorable numbers, thereby solving the crisis.
Has the replacement been picked, or
I don't think so. This was like a 2 days ago development. So he's been golfing since then, I would imagine.
I mean, Trump's been also trying to look for a reason to fire Jerome Powell, Fed chairman. He definitely doesn't like bad news or objectivity or expertise of any kind. He likes,
Independence is the really big thing that rankles him here, I think.
Yeah. Why can't he or hasn't he fired Jerome Powell?
Because it's set up so that the government can't just change interest rates. Like, it's supposed to be independent so it can regulate the currency. So, like, Trump wants to, change the interest rate.
Supposed to be. There's a lot of things that are supposed to work a certain way in the government. Specifically, what's stopping him in this case?
He's only allowed to replace the governors at a certain rate, or they're appointed for, certain terms, basically,
Right,
so they have to serve out their term.
he can only fire them, I guess, according to statute, for cause. So he's looking for a cause, or fishing for some reason to fire him. He was statutorily prevented from firing lots of the people that Doge fired, and so he did it anyway, and then they sued, and then he lost. But I think with the case of the Fed chairman, this would get more pushback than a lot of the other ones.
Central bank's been independent for a long time, and it's pretty important to keep it that way so that they don't just inflate our currency whenever they want. Imagine if we had terrible inflation, dude. Thank God we can only imagine, read about it in history books. Luckily, we don't have to experience any such thing.
Yeah, this one pisses me off, just the willful ignorance. Didn't he order the head of NOAA or the EPA to basically to unfind that human-caused climate change is a real thing?
It's been deleted off of the NOAA website,
Yeah.
a lot of climate change information. Yeah, there's just sort of an ongoing crusade against climate change.
Reality.
Science.
Against reality, knowledge, thinking, doing smart things.
If people know about that stuff, though, like his real estate deal in Greenland is not going to be nearly as worthwhile. So he's got to like warm that shit up.
In other news related to Trump administration officials just doing what he wants, not what makes sense, the FTC is preventing or was holding up another merger. This was between two kind of like funny sounding, ominous sounding companies, Omnicom and the Interpublic Group of Companies.
Holy shit, dude, you weren't kidding.
Omnicom was acquiring the Interpublic Group of Companies for $13.5 billion. NBD. So these are media ad purchasing companies. So I think that they purchase ad space on news networks and websites and stuff like that. And so they represent a bunch of advertiser clients. And basically, these companies had coordinated some of the boycotts of Twitter when it was found that, big brands ads were showing up next to like Nazi propaganda. And
now they're just like cool with it, I guess, right? Like at this point,
the government has been taking a lot of action against them. Also, I mean, Elon Musk has sued them and sued others who were involved with this. Basically, the FTC has allowed these two companies to merge or to one to acquire the other on the condition that they don't coordinate boycotts anymore, which is, unprecedented, legally dubious, the typical kind of bullshit. But because these billionaires want to do their billionaire thing of selling their big bajillionaire company to another billionaire, and they want all their money, they're willing to suck up a little bit. So that's the world we're in. Bunch of unfathomably rich people just sort of throwing away our collective liberties for a quick $1 billion.
Damn, dude. Elon's such a little bitch, too, because he's all like, I love free speech, unless you're coordinating a boycott against me, in which case you don't deserve to have free speech.
Free speech warriors. And like anyone who makes it their personality is like the first one on the lines of actually restricting speech. Part one of 57 of like how every like right-wing policy is just projection for the bad things that they do.
Indeed. I notice how we always are covering all this bad news other than the porn accidentally being shown in the Board of Education meeting. That's obviously great. So I looked for good news. Like, did Donald Trump do anything good this week? Because like sometimes he does good things, right? So I looked and I'm
looking for good smelling news. Let me look in the sewer.
I mean, if you find it, it's so much more exciting, dude.
So I found one that like could almost be good. Okay, so how drug companies charge Americans more money than everyone else for drugs, right? So like in Trump language, this would be like Americans are getting screwed and getting a bad deal, right? Like this feels like exactly what he should be angry about. And so, yeah, he actually has, sent threatening letters to drug companies and, issued some executive orders earlier on in his presidency.
Threatening, are we talking? Is he like cutting up magazines? Like what?
Yeah, going to let Luigi
We're
out?
going to get to that. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to pardon Luigi.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Damn.
Did you see that Blackstone executive got murdered and people were just kind of hoping it was another Luigi, so they were building out this whole conspiracy where that was the intended target and the media was covering up?
Nope. The guy had brain damage and that's what he was mad about, and he got on the wrong elevator.
He had CTE. He was mad at football, so he went to the football office to shoot football people.
He wanted to. He went to the real estate office. Shot those other random people.
I did hear about that shooting, but I did not hear about the supposed cover-up. I think we should dig more, though. I'm only asking questions.
Was he bitten by a radioactive wasp?
We don't know. No one will tell us.
As an American media personality, it's my duty to learn about random conspiracy theories and then spread them on my platform.
Yeah, so I guess the thing with the drug company. So this week, the only news is that he sent a threatening letter. And he says, if you don't lower your prices to, like the same price, give us the best prices of any country, then we will do serious stuff, is what I think he said. I don't remember any like concrete, I don't remember the specifics of the threats. They didn't seem all that severe. And I think that these are mostly public companies. So I just don't really see them caving in this way. They're making way too much money off us and our parents. When it comes to drug prices, like there was a law that was passed that allowed the president to pick a couple drugs and set the price.
Okay, but see, last week when I said Trump could do something like this, you both ridiculed me, dude.
No, I
said Trump would never do something like this because he's too negative. And I was like, that's my point. He could direct the negativity somewhere else.
Right. What he could do is encourage Congress to do their job and to actually pass a law that actually, instead of just sort of threatening to, like, I'm so powerful, I'm going to wield my power.
Yeah, I mean, he's
just trying to go around the legal process and just be a bullying
But it also
asshole.
seems like, it seems like a situation where his instinct to be an asshole is overriding the good he could do. Like, he could just use this law to set some drug prices, but instead he wants to, like, yell and be an asshole.
Okay, so what I was thinking of was the Inflation Reduction Act, which gave the Department of Health and Human Services some authority to negotiate prices for certain high-cost prescription drugs in Medicare. So, like, even that, like, the government was not allowed to negotiate prices for drugs.
Yeah,
like, legally prevented. But, like, yeah, they passed the law that gave some authority, and, like, the result is that, so it was supposed to start with 10 drugs by 2026 and to expand in later years.
So next year.
I thought that some of this had already started. Maybe it was, like, building up to 10 by 2026. But there is some law that was actually passed that actually gives some limited authority of this kind, and if he really feels so strongly, then why not, like, follow the fucking law? Why not work within the system that we have that would actually work?
Gives the federal government some ability to negotiate for some drugs in some cases. That is some Biden-ass regulation right there. So fucking bullshit. God.
You can't just suddenly start limiting wild profits. You gotta build up to it.
We've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
All right, Danny.
All right.
Keep it going.
So Trump is not satisfied with just, like, undermining our democracy, and he's actually... So this is kind of funny. He's doing sort of an unselfish, altruistic action in the sense of he's trying to help out another fascist from a different country who probably can't really do anything for him. So, like, it's just, like, out of the goodness of his heart. So Jair Bolsonaro
out of
in
the
Brazil,
evilness of his heart.
Yeah. One man's coup attempter is another man's democracy savior, I guess. Yeah.
I think he's just a fan. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but he's putting himself out there to help someone else,
I think he remembers from his first term, like, how much Jair, like, kissed up to Trump. So he thinks, like, oh, this guy likes me, and there are so precious few people who do. So he throws a little bone to this guy by doing what exactly?
So he's sanctioning the judge who is presiding over the trial, which
for like his coup attempt.
Yeah, Jair Bolsonaro is on trial for allegedly seeking to seize power after losing the 2022 presidential election. So this judge is presiding over the trial, which is widely expected to result in him being convicted and sentenced to 43 years in jail. Hell yeah, dude. That's what you do with coup attempters, if you ask me.
That's one of the two options I'm in favor of.
The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, honk honk, the sound of a clown, get ready. Let this be a warning to those who would trample on the fundamental rights of their countrymen. Judicial robes cannot protect you. And so also they're tariffing Brazil 50%. So like stuff like beef is going to be more expensive just to help out Bolsonaro. Not exactly America first here. There's numerous major exemptions, including oil, orange juice, timber, and aircraft.
Maybe he just wants them to give him an aircraft.
I mean, yeah, he already got the other one and he gets to keep it.
Yep.
They're aviation pioneers. I remember this from the 2016 Olympics ceremony.
Stay strong, Brazilians.
Yeah. Try not to let him push you around. We'll also try not to let him push us around. We'll see how it goes.
And while we're on the subject of foreign relations, Cambodia and Thailand decided to squash their beef.
Wait, no, say that happy. This is finally a piece of good news. All right, let's sound excited. Smiles.
Okay. I guess
cool.
It's a little tempered in my mind. So
good.
Okay, so this conflict over the border is essentially a misunderstanding from all the reporting I've seen. They're just like disagreements over some shots that were fired. Neither side is sure who started shooting, and then both sides were shooting, and then a week later, they called a ceasefire. But like, imagine you're the 13th guy to get killed in this conflict that was essentially started over a misunderstanding. I think there's 16 fatalities and a bunch of injuries from this conflict. It just
plus hundreds of thousands of people evacuated.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm hoping, I don't know for sure, but like I'm hoping the damage to like people's homes is pretty minimal, so the evacuees can get back to their original properties and get on with their
Insurance
lives.
doesn't cover that shit. Homeowners, explicit carve-outs for war.
I don't know about
And acts
Thailand,
of God.
but Cambodian homeowners probably don't have great insurance policies. They're one of the world's poorest nations.
Mainstream media doesn't cover that. So what you're saying is,
If you're
it's
a border
good that
guard,
if you were killed, that really, really sucks, and this is not even good news for you because you're already dead.
I mean,
Is that, is that what you're trying to say?
I guess I'm just saying that, like, this bit of good news has a body count, and that sucks.
Right. It's like, they were stupid and people died, but they weren't, like, deranged, insane, hypermaniacs, so only a few people died.
It's like...
So that's good news.
This is the good news of, like, an industrial fire was put out. You know, like, it's bad. A bunch of people died in this, like, factory fire, but then later the firefighters showed up to put it out. It's like, I guess that's good, that it didn't, like, burn down the whole town.
That's what we can hope for. It's been another uplifting weekly wrap.